What we're going to review today is going to be very difficult to give a real rating to, because the Three Stooges lasted from 1934 to 1959. And you start popping in their discs. Disc one, right? The early Three Stooges. Gold. The discs, as you go along, disc 2, 3, 4, they get better and funnier. The guys really figure out their personas. They nail it every time with every short. And it's this comedic genius that is almost unparalleled in film history. And you have this climb that it doesn't plateau, it drops off of a cliff. And that's for really the second half of the collection. Everybody knows who the Stooges are: Larry, Moe, Curly, and then Shemp when Curly got sick and couldn't do the movies anymore, and then Joe Besser when Shemp died, and then into the movies that were made with Curly Joe. And you know, when I was a kid, Saturday afternoons, they would play an hour's worth of Three Stooges. 3 short films in one hour-long set. If you were lucky, you got 2 Curlies. The bad weeks were when you got 3 Shemps. And they didn't even bother with the Joe Besser movies. I never saw those until they actually came out on DVD. A lot of people defend Shemp and love him and say he was even the superior Stooge to Curly. He was the first. He was the original. He was in the team before Curly was. That may be, and Shemp has grown on me since I was a kid, but he's no Curly. I loved the Stooges. I grew up on the Stooges. I watched, at least 1 or 2 shorts a month, every month. It's one of those things that has just always been a part of my life. And as much as I try with Shemp, I can't do it. It's not only that he's not Curly. It's that they're getting, by the time Shemp comes into the picture, they're getting old. And they're not quite as spry. They're not quite as, the pratfalls, the injuries and stuff, the things that they did to themselves when they were younger men, they're not doing that stuff quite as much anymore. And then really, when you get to the Joe Besser stuff, I really dislike the Joe Besser persona. And they are so old at that point that you can just see them pulling their punches. They can't take the hits anymore. They can't take the falls and the lead pipes to the head and stuff. So they're really... And I think by then, too, they realized how much they appealed to kids. And so they softened everything. You watch early Three Stooges, there's some edgy shit in there, man. There's some stuff in those short films that really you cringe at. Oh, that looked like it hurt so much. These guys had impeccable timing. They played off of each other possibly better than any other comedic group in the history of film. More so even than the Marx Brothers, who were all siblings. Larry Fine was not a Howard brother, but he was in all but name. You know, they knew each other so well that the way they played off of each other was magic. And then it just goes to hell, and really fast for me. There's not a lot that I can say about the Three Stooges. You know, the DVD collection that I have, it has no bonus features. I wish it had some documentaries, making of, stuff like that. It doesn't. In fact, it barely has a, as you can see, you open up the case and you've got the listing for where all the shorts are. And then you just have this sort of little plastic cheap tray that the discs are all just sort of stacked on each other, which I kind of hate, but I had the individual collections and they took up so much space that I just decided to downgrade, not downgrade because it's all the same content, but to get the smaller, more compact case. My biggest video that I've done in this series is the review of the 2000 biopic movie of the Three Stooges. Like, by far, that's like my #1 James Talks DVDs video. And I think that just goes to show how much people really do love the Stooges. They love the camaraderie of the three of them, the fact that they all loved each other, but in the shorts, they're always best friends. They live together. They sleep together. They eat together. They just also happen to hit each other with mallets from time to time. And there's something very sweet and innocent about the Stooges. Even the edgier, earlier ones. I just was never able to get into Shemp. I like him well enough now. They're watchable to me. Especially the very, very early ones with Shemp. But as they go, like I said, it feels like it just drops off a cliff as far as the quality goes. Their budgets got smaller. They actually recycled shots from older movies. They recycled plots from older movies. And you could tell that even as they were still willing, even with their advancing ages, Columbia Pictures didn't care as much. Short films that played before movies were becoming a thing of the past, and they were, you know, because you could watch television. And that's where the Stooges' popularity really exploded, was taking those old short films, repackaging them, and putting them on TV. That's why, even though, I mean, I kind of keep it up here with my TV collections. It's not really a TV collection. It really is, these were films. You'd go to a theater and see them originally. Actually, kind of the same way with the Looney Tunes. You'd go to the theater. You'd see a cartoon. These things didn't play on TV initially. They played up on the big screen. I would love to see if they did like a marathon of, you know, 10 Stooge movies up on the big screen. I would love to see that. For a rating. See, this is so hard because, again, the first half of the collection, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5, perfect score. Perfect score for the first half of the collection. And then as you move along, by the last disc in the set, I'd have to go like 2 out of 5. Maybe lower, even, for the Joe Besser stuff. So as difficult as it is to give it this rating, I'm going 4 stars out of 5 for the Three Stooges collection. If you were to buy the individual, I believe it's 8 volumes, if you were to buy the first 4 or 5, That's 5 stars right there. But the complete collection, you gotta judge them all. And the original ones are so strong that the later crappy ones don't drag it down that much. But I gotta knock off at least 1 star for the later Shemps and the Joe Besser ones. Even so, Larry, Moe, and Curly, that's my lineup, and anything that they did is gold. I would recommend it. Go find it. Most of you've probably seen a Three Stooges short at some point in time or not. You know whether you like it or not. I love them. I love them. They're a huge part of my life. I'm so grateful that Sony put out the DVDs and put them all in chronological order. For years, you couldn't find it like that. For years, it was just bargain basement kind of crappy compilation DVDs that were all grainy, and Sony really cleaned them up and put them out there in the way that they should be seen. For that, seek out this collection, even if you don't ever watch the later discs. The first ones, the first 5, 6, 7 discs are absolutely worth your time and worth your money.
Their worlds. Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,